Diogenes, his real name was Edward Mackenzie. He lived on Chelston rubbish tip, about a mile and a half down the road, in the cleft of a tree in an old corrugated barrel. For obvious reasons, he associated in my mind with Diogenes, the Greek philosopher. He certainly looked the part. Although he was capable of arcane wisdom, such as live while you can and live in clover, when you're dead all over, and that was about the limit of it. We had an understanding that when he died, I should have the corpse. Why should I have the corpse? Nutty thing to want to do, unstable, peculiar. No, it's an artifact, a thought-provoking artifact, a memento mori. Remember that you will die. I would have thought that one would be haunted by an object of that kind in some way or another, because I was very struck by the thing that we all experience when we witness death, and that is the total absence of the person running parallel with the total presence of the body.
I was brought up very strictly in a Jewish household. I don't regard myself as Jewish, I don't regard myself as English. My mother and father had an old age home. It was a lunatic asylum, really, where I witnessed dementia, loneliness, quite significant packages of suffering from people who had survived horrendous things. There were survivors from Belsen and Auschwitz. Room number 3 had green lino, that's where I lived. I used to paint at night, down at the bottom of the garden, candlelight. Paint the irises, draw the shadows, painted the old red letterbox outside the hotel. Life was just a constant creative indulgence. So the years go on. One studio, another studio. I'm going to art schools, St. Martin's, and to the Royal Academy. I'm working hard, I'm reading a lot, building up library, studying, researching, taking interest in all sorts of ideas, painting, living. Took a teaching posts in Cornwall. I can't remember how it happened, newspaper or television or something.
A young London-born artist, seeking a little peace and quiet, decided to take the cottage over for a while to produce a very unusual work. He's painting a mural, and it really is quite a stupendous thing. He's with me now, 24-year-old Robert Lenkiewicz.
Models here have been just taken from people that used to come to a large room I had in London. Most of this was done in London. There's a friend of mine, Alec, who posed for this one. He's posed for nearly all of them because I just used the body for information.
So you've used contemporary people for an historic theme, in fact.
Someone saw me, offered me a place in Plymouth, offered me premises. One thing led to another. I started these projects. I started these sociological inquiry reports. That's what they are. They're fairly large scale. They're highly subjective. And they're presented visually. The notes are rarely seen. Project on sexual behavior, project on death, project on old age, project on mental handicap, project on jealousy, project on orgasm, project on suicide.
I might do 500 paintings on the theme of, shall we say, education. And to me, the whole project, the whole collection, is the one painting. That is the painting. The atmosphere you get from the whole collection, that is the picture. The Death Project was interesting because I wrote an article, must be one of the most unusual articles in the local paper. It was a full-page article. And what I wrote was a survey of attitudes towards dying and how they've changed, shall we say, since Greco-Roman times. Ending with the request that if the reader was dying or knew somebody who was dying, would they come and sit for me? The long and short of it was that I got 600 letters from dying people. Every single one of the sitters died not long after the exhibition. Basically, I couldn't know what it was like to be dead. I could only know what it was like to be thought dead. So I had to really, literally convince pretty well everyone that I was dead. And asked my brother to put an obituary notice to the local newspaper, which was done. I expected, on thinking about it, a few lines on page 5 of the Evening Herald. No false modesty, I genuinely thought that's what would happen. I can remember the owner of the house that I was in coming in with the television set, saying, "You've gone too far this time, Lenky." There was the newsreader on the television with a very serious voice reporting my death and a photograph of me. Eventually they couldn't find the body. And it got worse and worse and worse. And I think it was pretty well front page for 6 or 7 days of one kind or another. And some really silly stuff.
Do you have any idea when he might be coming? Because we're a little bit fed up of waiting around here.
Yes, I believe so.
I mean, he is still alive, is he? I mean, he hasn't died in the night or something.
No, it is officially admitted that he's still alive.
And he is due here when?
Now that, of course, did incense certain representatives of the local media. But it got me free bus rides and taxi drives for months to come, because the public were highly delighted.
All the projects have one thesis, one feature in common. They are based on the claim, on the suggestion that patterns of human behavior are aesthetic experiences, matter of taste, concerned about the welfare of another human being independently of one's own need. But when we actually form relationships, I mean, do we say, well, actually, my brother's better looking than me, much more stimulating, why don't you go with him? It would be better for you, it'll enrich your life more. We don't do that because our attraction towards the person hasn't had anything got nothing to do with their welfare. I see somebody, I'm attracted to him, I'm attracted to almost everybody. At the first glance, a single glance, and an encyclopedia of information is recorded. Mouth, breasts, eyes, hair, a whole encyclopedia. Down it comes between me and that person. My susceptibility. They've disappeared. They're not there anymore, somewhere over there. I do not think there is any line of inquiry of greater importance than to consider the physiological, not the psychological, the physiological causes of addictive behavior. And Vacancy was the first project. I produced a book on the subject, 1971, 72, and an exhibition in a derelict building that they used to nickname them. They were called the Cowboys Holiday Inn, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9. They burnt down the 9th one. Their names, in many ways, reveal so much. Gentleman Jim, The Horse, Jukebox, Have No Fear, Mouth McCarthy, Be My Guest, The Bishop, Brother Blair. That was a huge painting of Jacob's Ladder. You can see Corky coming in with a drink on the balcony on the right. In the distance, you can see Cockney Jim and Snowy dancing to the music. I always used to play Marlowe there. Large canvases. I'm dancing with the Bishop and Les Ryder on the left. See the record player at the bottom with Kinder Toten Lieder, Death of Children songs by Mahler, sung by Hermann Prey.
Why did you become a vagrant in the first place?
Well, that's a question. I've been a vagrant ever since I was 3.5 years old. And I've been one ever since.
Would you describe it as a good, happy life? Are you happy with your lot?
Oh, I am. But I'm better off because I can go and get a job tomorrow at £35 a week, but it's no good.
Why?
Because I'll be on the bottle.
For me, being a painter links with a tradition of perception and inquiry, which I regard as a very noble one.
But I'm determined to live as fully and as richly as I can without being too much of a nuisance to other people.